Good morning, one and all. Hello. Strange one from me. Well, everything I do is strange, really. I'm staying over in Manchester. Yes, I know, you couldn't make this up. I live 10 miles outside Manchester, and yet I'm staying in Manchester overnight for a couple of nights at the Moxie, meeting a very good friend, and he suggests instead of trolling backwards and forwards, just stay in Manchester because we're going, this is, as I say, the Moxie Hotel. It's part of the Marriott Group. It's 2 minutes walk from the Palace Theatre where we're going this evening. So we'll have you a little look round the Moxie Hotel. Big chain, I've never heard of it before. This is it in all its glory with the entrance. I mean, when all's said and done here at the Moxie, a bedroom is a bedroom, and I have, say, moved in. What I've done is, well, a little seating area there, my bag. What I've done with the bed is, I've gone and put the two cushions, spare cushions there, because if I'm not going to use them, it's not very fair for the cleaning lady to have to go and change them when they're perfectly clean. And this is the typical wardrobe in a Moxie hotel. Yes, a hanging wire effort, extremely good. And the loo is adequate. I mean, you've seen plenty of bathrooms, I'm sure. There's something to go on with plenty of towelage. And then just stuff you put your little bits and pieces out. And then a nice shower with a very efficient head. And, well, 3 different bottles. The only problem I will say is that you need your glasses to see what's hot, cold, and otherwise on the shower head. But there you go. Well, I was hoping to get a message from my sponsor, but as you can see, he seemed, wait, no, he's just fast asleep. Traditional breakfast fare, but I have to be honest, where do you ever see a sign like that? And the toaster, believe it or not, is not like those ones in Turkey. You put some toast in and it burns it to a crisp. But there's the pastries you're not allowed to put in the toaster. And then as you walk out of the Moxie Hotel, just so I show you this actually is just in front of the theatre or behind the theatre, but it's just interesting in as much as, you know me with my silly facts, you might just be able to see it under it's called Sunlight House. And yes, Sunlight House is connected with Port Sunlight, Palmolive, Colgate, etc. And it used to be the administrative offices for that very company, which is very surprising because Port Sunlight, as you know, that was built for workers at the soap factory, is over in the Wirral, and just down there behind the Dole van. Must be very difficult if someone says, where are you working? Oh, I'm on the Dole. Sorry, some people of an age might not understand what that one is, but just down there is Deansgate. And with all the building work, those of a slightly, I suppose you might say, sensitive disposition, look away now because someone, since last night, has added a bit of graffiti. At least they've tried. Just spied a fellow with a very strange hobby here, looking in bins. He's just drawn up on his bicycle. As we look at the architecture with an excuse to try and catch this chap heading off on his bicycle to look in more bins. Opposite, a Philpotts, and we've got a Nando's. What more could you want? And directly down, further down there, is Spinningfields. And in case you didn't know, there we are, we're in Spinningfields. And there it is, just to prove it. Look at that wonderful building. Even more wonderful buildings, look at this, all this modern brutalist architecture. There we go. Right, onwards and forwards. Well, I bet they never called him that when he appeared in Marillion. And then a quick look, this is the famous John Rylands Library. Lovely Gothic building, absolutely incredible building in fact. I'm just going to go in with my guests and have a quick look. So that lovely detail. And then here we are inside the library. Just look at that, and then here. I bet you weren't expecting that. Inside the John Rylands Library. This is just part of the private collection in the library. Imagine having to dust those books down. And even more here. And here we are. Remember, this is a library, folks. It's not a church or a cathedral. Just look at that. Isn't it wonderful? And that's in the heart of Manchester, off the A56, Deansgate. At least I think the A56 is Deansgate, isn't it? And there's some very old printing presses in this little recess. And then this used to be the original entrance, lobby hall part. And there's what used to be the, as I say, the original entry doors all those years ago. And more detail here. And then the part of the welcoming committee. We've just come up from down there. Now remember, we're in the library, not in the church. There's the balcony for Rapunzel to let down her hair. Yes, this is a library, not a church. And now we're coming into the main part, and to anybody who's been to Trinity College, Dublin, will find this very sort of familiar. Good evening, Your Grace. And there's the main Rylands Library with upstairs, as I call it. And look at that window. I'm not doing it justice on this, I'm afraid. And as I mentioned, this is a library, not a church or a cathedral. And then the little reading alcoves, all full of books everywhere. I don't believe you can take those particular books out unless you ask, on both sides. The librarian looking down on us. And there we are, there's John Rylands himself, looking down on all he surveys in this wonderful library. And that's the other view from the side we just looked at. So yes, back at the Lowry again, and we're going in to have a look at the exhibition. Let me just explain a little bit about it for you. Well, as you can see, I'm back outside the Lowry, and would you care to join me at an exhibition where there's somewhere in the region of £0.5 to £1 billion worth of Lowry paintings? I kid you not. Let's go and have a look. They don't allow videos, but I've done a little still. Is it called a cartouche? I don't know. Anyway, I've just put a few of the photographs together for you to have a look at, and some of the big ones are there, including Going to the Match, the Bolton Wanderers one that he did, where if you look carefully, you can see the Union Jack that's in the crowd thing. It'll be with music over it, so you don't have to listen to my dull, boring voice. Right, let's get cracking. Come on, let's go in. Well, just went to the Opera House where we saw The Last Laugh, whittering on about, as you can see, Eric Morecambe, Tommy Cooper, Bob Monkhouse. Very, very good. Very, very good indeed. And there's some stills from the show. I know I can't really see anything. Hello. Oh, look, some ladies saying hello. Hello. How you doing? Have a good evening. Some ladies who should have been in that show, needless to say. Very good show this evening. And there's the... Gosh, the noise on a Saturday night in Manchester, it makes me feel old. Oh, sorry, I am old. And there's the main one, and then some more over here of them. It was just a very good show. And of course, what brought the house down was they did the acknowledgement of Mr. Andrew Preview, which was quite hilarious, where he said, as I'm sure you all know, that he's playing the notes, but not necessarily in the right order. Opera House all nicely lit up. And there we go. And just some of the famous people that have appeared at the Opera House. What I think was a very astute move on the part of us going there was sitting about, I'd say probably some 18 rows from the front, because from where we were sitting, if you sit in the front, you would have known that they weren't, so, you know, well, obviously they're not the real people because Bob Monkhouse, Tommy Cooper and Eric Morecambe have since died, but sitting where we were, you really couldn't tell that they weren't the... There was fabulous impersonations and a very good script, so if you can catch it, give it a go. And there you go, proof of the pudding. Back of the theatre, from the stage, there's the stage of the theatre, and that's where we were. That's all the stuff being collapsed because it's on the way to Leeds. And here are the gentlemen taking it all back to Leeds. Safe journey to all of them. 10:15 on a Saturday night. Absolute mayhem in Manchester, although technically we're in Salford when all's said and done. Bit of a shock there. Direct Line building has changed completely, is no longer Direct Line. Can't even pronounce the name. QOUN or something. Anyway, not to worry. But it's absolutely mad busy. It's like, I don't know, it's just so busy that you wouldn't really believe it. And that's the way up to Oxford Street and the main square in front of the town hall and library. Just absolutely madly busy. Sorry, I keep repeating myself. Not too sure why Corner Block is not on the corner, but mine is not to question why. It's actually quite amusing being out because they say the place is just full, and it's like, now what I'm going to say is Gary Barlow doesn't swear, but it's like listening to hundreds upon hundreds of people doing a very bad Gary Barlow impression and swearing. You know, as I say, I can't do a very good impression myself, but yeah, like, it's not like we're going off to nightclub, like, you know what I mean? It's just so hilarious. I shouldn't mock really, but I have to. You know what I'm like. Well, my regular viewer, he knows what I'm like. And then just, because I don't see it often at night, this is Manchester's Ivy, which is, there we go, in the Spinning Fields area. It's 3 stories and a roof, and for some very strange reason, now why would they have that message in Manchester? Have you any idea? I'm sure you do know why. It's all very, very lively. It seems so strange to see all these office buildings in Spinning Fields, and then down here we've got this hive of complete activity in something called the Lawn Club, which certainly wasn't there when I used to come into Manchester several years ago. Well, by several years ago, I mean only a few years ago, more regularly. Actually, it's longer than that. It was not really been to this part since, well, lockdown, to be quite honest. And then as I wander back towards the hotel, we can see that the truck is, that's the Opera House, The truck is loading up. It was last night tonight, and they're off somewhere else. Or I think they're going into, I think, a little bit of a sleep remission just for a few weeks, from what they were saying. And the view from the hotel window over Nando's, as you can see, the lovely denizens of Manchester, although they might be visitors, not exactly clearing up after themselves. And of course, as you can see, this is what the result is. Charming little, is it a dog or is it a cat? No, of course. Oh, and there's another one there scurrying around there. I don't know if you can see there. Well, look at him there. You see, throw your litter away and you won't get all these rodents. Just walking back to the train station. This is up Jackson Row in Manchester. Anybody fancy a drink? Sorry, just had to avoid the pillar there. Just look at this. This is just ridiculous. One after the other. Window after... I know it's a bar and they're showing off, but I've never seen anything like this before. And it goes all the way up there. Just to prove I'm not cutting it and using effects. It just never ends. This is just ridiculous. Try drink your way through that lot. Goodness me. And there we are, that's it. Wow. So there we are, as Elton John, the lyrics of his song, sang in Sweet Painted Lady. We're back on dry land once again. Thank you very much for joining me on my little excursion, 2-day stay in Manchester. Hope you enjoyed it. It's a bit of a flying thing because I didn't really have an intention of doing a video until I was really taken somewhat aback by both the theatre production and more spectacularly so the Lowry exhibition. Just never knew his output was so prolific, just quite incredible. So thank you very much for joining me. And as I always say, until next time, take care and be well.